5. It's the number of God's grace, the number of God's favor. And in 5 years, we've seen exactly that. 5 years of breakthrough, 5 years of miracles, 5 years of God's faithfulness, of God's faithfulness, of God's faithfulness.
I'm Rob Green, and this is my wife, Kim, and the Rise has been our home for 2 years.
2 wonderful years.
2 great years. My grandfather was a Methodist minister, and my father was not a minister. My father was a colonel in the Army, but he always was, we're going to church every Sunday. He still goes to this day. He's 88. I got to college, I pretty much went, and then after college and everything, I really didn't go very much, to be honest.
We grew up, mainly, my sister and I mainly went to church. Easter, the one and done for the year, and we did go to church quite often with my grandmother, and we would spend Saturday night and go Sunday morning. She was diehard Southern Baptist, and so we were very much raised in that faith and Vacation Bible School and the things, but like he said, it really just never had clicked. We had faith, but it was just dusty and kind of put to the side.
I live in a cul-de-sac, and there was a couple across the street, and I didn't even know them. And I was out cutting my grass one day, and the woman came over. What was her name? She was Michelle. And she said, "Rob, hey,
of mine that I bowled
are you dating anybody?" This was 13, 14 years ago, and I had just been in a relationship with a young lady, and it ended. And so I said, "No, not right now." And so she goes, "I got this friend, and she's single, and she's cute, and she's really nice." And so I'm like, "Oh man," but I said, "Okay." And so we ended up going on a blind date. We got along really well.
And then he hadn't met Taylor at that point. He didn't meet Taylor for a long time, not until we kind of were ready to move forward with the next step. And then she had like some cookouts at her house and things like that, so.
And then she brought Taylor over, because it was right across the street, and she said, "This is my friend Rob's house," and we kind of did a real gentle intro, and everything. And I had a really cool dog back then named Maya, who was like a mutt terrier. She was a great dog, and he liked her instantly, and so we just kept moving forward from there. Having your own business is really stressful, and I went through a period where I had to downsize my business because of like 2000 and I guess like 9 or 10 during, everything crashed, like commercial business, everything. So, insurance companies took like 40%, 30% cuts in what they were paying you and everything. I had all this overhead. I had a building. I had 3 full-time employees and all that. So, and I was just bringing my stress home, and I gained, like over 300 pounds, and I was just stressed and checked out. Like I just didn't know how to handle it. And I dreamed about this business as my whole life goal, and I saw it falling apart, and I was able to pull it back together. But it definitely took a toll on our marriage. I own that. There was never any things outside the marriage. There was never any infidelity or any. I never beat her up or anything. It was just we just drifted apart.
And became very apathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it just we slowly kind of drew apart, and once Taylor had moved out, we just really had just kind of separated, like not within the house, we just weren't drawing together, and we didn't have a whole lot in common anymore, and we just were not headed in a good direction, and we did realize this, but sometimes you're just very apathetic. And we had been married for a while at that point, and with Taylor not living at home anymore, it was just easier to be able to just drift apart like that. Taylor was coming. At first he was staying with Joe, spending the night, and they were doing their guy thing, and then he would begin to join Joe for church on Sunday morning. And then eventually he and Joe moved in together and got their own place, and that's when Taylor really started going regularly. And so he invited me for Easter Sunday, and it was COVID, it was mask and reservations and all of that, but I never felt like I could skip church at Easter, because of what Jesus did for us. And that always would bring me to church, because I've always truly believed that he died for us and that we owe the Lord the reverence and the respect. But I just never wanted to dare skip church on Easter. So I met him for church that Easter, and just riding home that day, I just was thinking, that felt really good. I feel so great. And we had family come in for lunch and everything, and all the way home and all the way through the grocery store, I truly just kept hearing over and over, like, how complacent is that? Like, is that enough? Do you feel like that was enough today? Or do you feel like there's more? There's more to offer. So I came back, and then I came back, and eventually I was interested in some kind of structured group, study group, something to get me more involved with the church and the people in the church. And so I joined our ladies group, which has been absolutely fantastic, and just such a good group of mentors, younger and older, children and as well, to watch and learn from. And I've just watched and learned so much, and they're just wonderful women in our group. So,
and I will say, I may be in trouble for this later. I think her initial reasons for going was to see Taylor. Not that she didn't believe and all that, but as she kept going, and then she started getting it, I could see changes and stuff, and then she
God
was
just
like,
kept resting her feet,
and
speaking to me every Sunday.
Absolutely. And then I saw that she was not going just for Taylor, that she was going for God, and that's the truth. So, and that I'm in the background going, I'm missing something here. I'm telling you this. Her driving to these women's group meetings here
so far away
at night.
I don't like to drive.
Telling you $1,000, she wouldn't do it. Like, she would never. No offense to her, because she's great, but that's like, she was more of a homebody, and she just didn't really want to do it. But man, when she did that, I was like, whoa, because I could never have done that. Like, that was God, truly, and I mean that. And that's been a great thing. This women's group has been so awesome for her, and it's spilled over to me. So that's great.
Once I started going to church, and then definitely once he started joining me, we both just really were drawn together within our house. Out of not our own power, obviously. The Lord just drew us together, and over that period, we've been drawn together in worship, and we do our devotion instead of me doing my own devotion time and him doing whatever, we do our devotion time together every day, and then we have our own prayer, but we pray together every night before bed.
That's the last thing we do before we go to bed is we pray together. And I'll tell you what, that's made a big difference. There's just so much of a warm feeling at the Rise. That's one of the things I love about it, man. Like, you walk in there and you just feel like this sense of people and fellowship, man, and it's and I can tell you a story about that real quick if you want me to, because last Sunday, it was tough for both of us, because I was hurting, raining, and she had a horrible night sleeping, and we were both like, if we weren't picking Mama up and Tia, we might just watch it from home. And I said, we both said, let's just get up and get going. And man, we walked through those doors, and bang, like, I saw her change, and I felt better. We were back there with Ramey, and it was just like, we're so glad we went, because it's easy. When you're not feeling well, sometimes you just say, we can watch it from the couch, right? But no. You gotta go. You gotta go to the service, man.
We have found our church home, and the best is yet to come.